Hello friends, this is Rakesh and in this video we'll be analyzing how to approach for XAT QA sections, right? I have taken the base to be XAT 17 and in XAT 17 the number of questions in QA was 27 and the cutoff approximately was close to 15, right? Cutoff in the sense I mean to say that anybody who have scored 15 would be getting 99 approximately 99 percentile, right? If I talk about the cutoff, then that definitely cutoff will be somewhere close to 11, right? 10 to 11, not more than that. And while analyzing these ZAT 17 QA sections, what I found that almost 10 to 15 questions, close to at least 10 and at max 15, I would say, depending upon how much comfortable you are with quant, can easily be managed within the time limit, right? And the time was 170 minutes and some more time given for GK etc. So I can easily say that close to 50 to 60 minutes you can easily give to the QA section of ZAT, and there were 27 questions, and I believe that two-thirds of the questions should be targeted, right? So close to 18 questions need to be targeted, and if I take the 60 minute, then for each questions I have at least 3 minutes, right? And so let me take the questions of the Z17 and just let me scan through those paper and let me just solve few of the questions just to give you a hint about the approach as well as what should be the strategy of solving this question. I usually recommend that the first, if you have 60 minutes suppose, then the first 25 to 30 minutes should be given for the first round, wherein you should be solving those questions which are not lengthy, I would say, right? They should be one liner or two liner questions, or the kind of question which just by scanning you know that you are comfortable with it, right? I usually skip those questions which have length too much, right? Or too much in the sense if they are 4 to 5 lines in the questions. I do not say that these questions are difficult, but in the first round I usually skip these questions. I come into the second round once I have scanned through the entire paper. So after 25 and 30 minutes, what will happen that you will at least be able to solve 10 questions approximately, and you'll have idea about the toughness level of the question paper, right? It is always necessary to judge the toughness level of the question when we are writing the test, not after the test, right? Because otherwise after the test we can't change anything what we have done, right? So after just scanning you'll come to know the toughness level of the test, and with some experience of writing mocks and other things you'll come to know that what could be the cutoff as well as what could be the ideal or decent attempts you should be doing to fetch the good percentile, right? So let me just quickly scan through those papers and just show you that how the first stage should have been, right? So let's move to the questions directly. Now let's take the very first question. Now it's a one-liner questions and definitely it looks very easy question. As you can see, this is an arithmetic progression. The numbers are in arithmetic progression and we have to find the sum which starts with minus 100 and it goes till 120. And each of the numbers are addition or what do I say? The common difference is 5 here, as you can see, right? So what we can see here is that from minus 100 till there will be a number here which we can write it as plus 100, and after that there will be another number which will be 105 plus, right? So from 100 plus 100 till minus of 100 I can say that all the number if I add they will nullify each other, right? That is 100 will nullify minus 100, then plus 95 will nullify minus 95 etc etc. So we can say that this entire thing will get vanished and we'll be left with these four numbers. So straight away we can see that the sum 105 plus 120 is 225, and the double of it will be the total sum of these four numbers, because the sum of these two numbers will also be 225. So straight away we can say that the answer for this question will be 450. Now this question do not require more than 30 seconds to solve. In fact, in the worst cases it will not take more than a minute to solve it, right? And such are the kind of question which we have to attack first. We have to solve these kind of question first, and when the time left, then we can come in the second round and solve those questions which are slightly of higher difficulty level than questions like this, right? Now let's move to the next question. So in the next question it says that if AB is the chord of a circle and the length of AB is 24 centimeter and P is the midpoint of AB. So just by reading till here, what we should be doing is that we should be drawing a circle and we should be drawing the chord AB. So let this point be A and B, and it say that P is the midpoint of AB. So if P is the midpoint, say this is P and AB is 24, then we can say that these two lengths will be 12 each. That is AP and PB will be 12 each. Now perpendicular from P on the either side of the chord meet the circle at M and N respectively. So this means that on the upper half and the lower half there are 2 points M and N as it says. So this is N and this is M, and this actually meets at perpendicular. So this will be 90 degree. That is what the second line says, and it says that PM is less than PN. So anyway, this is of not of that much concern, and the value of PM is 8. So this value is 8 and we need to find PN. Now just by looking at this question, it is very simple that we can apply the formula that PA into PB is equal to PC into PD, right? Now in this case, in place of C and D, it will be M and N. So straight away we can apply that this will be 12 into 12 and PC can be written as PM into PN. Now we know the value of P of M, that is 8. So straight away we can say that P of N or Pn would be equal to 12 into 12 divided by 8. So this will go by 3 times, this will go by 2 times, this will go by 6 times. So straight away we can say that the answer is 18, which is option 2. Now again we can see just these two questions can easily be managed within 2 minutes, I would say, right? Anyone who has prepared for CAT for at least for 6 months, he or she knows that such questions need to be solved if they appear in any kind of exams. Now next I'll move to the third questions, and here we need to find the minimum value, right? Now the expression is this. Now the point to note here is that many a time student jumps and tries to try to put the value of x such that the expression becomes 0, right? Many of time we have solved such kind of questions wherein if there is an expression which is a square or anything which is even, we believe that the minimum value for such thing will be 0, and definitely that is that is also the logic. But here you can see that there is a negative sign, right? And if I look at the options also, apart from 0, definitely there are options which are less than 0. These are negative options. So we should just pay attention that if it is negative, and to make the entire thing minimum, we should increase the value of the last expression, right? Because ultimately it will be a negative value. So I can straight away say that 0 should not be the answer, it should be something else, right? Now if I rewrite these expressions, so it will be 4x minus 2 whole square plus 4y minus 3 whole square minus 2 times of x minus 3 whole square. Now this particular term is positive, will always be positive. To get minimum, definitely this has to be 0. So straight away we can say that y should be equal to 0, but we should not put the value of x to be 2 or 3, right? We have to get the value of x for which combinedly the first term and the last term should give me the minimum value. So we can negate this particular term because anyway straight away it's only one term containing y, and y need to be put it need to be put 3, not 0. I mean that this entire expression will be 0 for the value of y is equal to 3, right? So again if I want to simplify it, so we can write it as 4 times of x square minus 4x plus of 4, and the last it can be written as 2 times of x square minus 6 of x plus of 9. Now on further simplification we can say that 4x square minus 2x square will give me 2 times of x square. Now this is minus 16x, and here it will be plus it will be 12 of x, so it will be minus of 4 of x, and this is 16 minus 18, so it will be minus of 2. Now this again can be written as 2 times of x square minus 2x minus of 1. Now we know that x square minus 2x plus 1 is x minus 1 whole square. So what we can do here is that to simplify it, we can write it here as x minus 1 whole square, so that after opening this particular expression we'll get the value of x square, we'll get the value of minus x, but instead of minus 1 we'll be getting plus of 1. just to negate that particular thing, because we'll be getting plus of 1, we should be doing minus of 2, so that the entire this much portion should become this, right? Now we have come to the conclusion that what should be the minimum value of it. So we can see that this portion, the square portion, has to be 0, and that will be equal that will be 0 for the value of x is equal to 1. So straight away we can say that the minimum value would be minus of 4. So the option 2 is the right answer. Although I would say this is not a very easy question, but still it's not that difficult as well if we have already gone through the rigid preparation of cat like exams. But yes, this question has to be solved by by those students who know how to approach, and for those who have little knowledge about it, obviously they need to skip this particular question. Just by skipping couple of question does not mean that will not be getting a good marks or percentile, right? Now let's not waste the time and move to the next question. So in the next question, again, just by having a scan of it, we know that this question is on pipes and cistern, and these are the options. So if it says that there are four pipes A, B, C, D, and can there are four pipes A, B, C, D, and they can individually fill the tank in 4, 10, 12, and 20 minutes respectively, right? So first of all, what we do in such question is that we define the work, or we define the capacity of the tank. In this, we take the LCM of 4, 10, 12, and 20. So if I take the LCM of this, it comes out to be 60. So let me assume that the tanks, the capacity of the tank is 60 liters. So therein, since A can completely fill the tank in 4 minutes, so we can say that A in 1 minute can fill 60 by 4 or 15 liters in 1 minute, or I can say 15 liters per minute is the rate at which A fills. Similarly for B, it would be 60 by 10, that is 6, and for C it will be 60 by 12, that is 5, and for D it will be 60 by 20, that is 3. So this is the first thing which we do in all such kind of questions. Now further it says that all four pipes were simultaneously were opened when the tank is empty. Under which of the condition the tank would be half filled after 30 minutes, right? So we have to find in what case it would be filled in 30 minutes or half filled in 30 minutes. So if I want to find that what is the time they'll take to completely fill, then it has to be 60 minutes. Right? So anyway, we have to just go by the options. If I take the very first option, it says that pipe A should fill and rest of the pipes should drain. So in such case, what will happen in a minute? So in the first minute or at the end of first minute, what will happen? That A will put 15 liters of water inside the tank, and all other three will drain it out. So the drained will for B will be -6, C will drain out 5 liters, and D will drain out 3 liters. So if I just calculate this, it comes out to be +1. That means if in the first case, what will happen is that in a minute, it's the overall water which are getting inside the tank is 1 liters, and to put 60 liters, it will definitely take 60 minutes. So ultimately we have got the answer in the very first case itself. So in 60 minutes it can fill the entire tank. So in 30 minutes it will fill half the tank. So straight away we can say that option 1 is the right answer. Such question usually take a minute or two. So 1 or 2 minutes it takes for most of the by most of the students to solve it, but still it's worth solving it because it's not taking more than 3 or 4 minutes, right? Now let's move to the next question. In this question, it says that a shop which sold same market price shirts announces an offer. If one buys 3 shirts, then the fourth shirt is sold at a discounted price of 100 only. So what it means is that if I want to buy 4 shirts, then for the 3 shirts I'll be charged for as the market price, but for the fourth one I'll have to pay only rupees 100. That's what it says. Now the person took the offer and he left the shop with 20 shirts. So in total he purchased 20 shirts and he paid 20,000 rupees. So we have to find what is the market price of the shirt. So it's again a very easy question. We can assume that the market price to be X. Now in 20 shirts we can break it into parts, wherein parts of 4 shirts each. So we can say that 20 by 4 it will be 5 parts, and each of the parts we can say that the three shirts will be purchased at market price and the fourth one will be purchased at rupees 100, right? So if there are five parts, then we can say that there are 15 shirts which will be purchased at market price. So the price which he would have paid will be 15 into x, and for the rest of the fourth shirts in each of these part, that is five more shirts, he would have paid only rupees 100. This has to be equal to 20,000, right? So we can say that 15 of x will be equal to 20,000 minus 500, that is 19500. So the value of x will be 19500 divided by 15. So we can just get it by 15 only. So 15 one times will be 15 and we'll be left with 45, so it will be 13. So we now we come to know that the value of x will be 1300, which is option 2. Again, this is very easy question, arithmetic question. And let's move to the next. Then now in this question, it's a solid geometry question. It says that the volume of the pyramid with square base is 200 centimeter cube and the height of the pyramid is 13 centimeter, and we need to find that what will be the length of the slant edge. Now if I draw the given pyramid, then it's a square base and this is the apex. So we need to find the length of this particular line, right? And if I drop a perpendicular, then this is 13, and if I draw the line that is the diagonal, then this much portion, since it's a square, so if I assume this side to be a, then we can say that the diagonal is a root 2, but we need to find this length only, or this much length only. So it will be a root of 2 divided by 2, which comes out to be a by root of 2. Now it is quite obvious that this portion would be a right angle triangle, right? This will be right angle here. So this length, the required length, will be the hypotenuse of it, wherein one side is 13 and the other side is a by root of 2, where a is the side of the square base. So it says that the volume is 200 centimeter cube. So by using these two numbers, we can get the value of a. So we know that the volume of the pyramid is given by 1/3 the area of the base, which in this case will be a square into height, and that is equal to 200. So therein we can say that a square will be equal to 200 into 3 divided by 13. Now we need to find a by root of 2. So we can say that the value of a would be or in fact, let us find the value of a square by 2, right? Because at the end, when we apply the Pythagoras theorem, we'll be using a square by 2 as the term. So a square by 2 will be equal to 300 by 13, which approximately will be equal to 24 or 23 in fact, right? So now we can get the value of slant height, and that is equal to 13 square plus a by root of 2 whole square. Now which we can write it as under root of 13 square plus a square by 2. Now just by substituting the value of a square by 2 as close to 24, and 13 square is 169, so we can say that it is equal to 169 plus 24, which comes out to be close to, it will be 193. Now this is very close to 196, which is the square of 14. So straight away we can say that the answer is option 3. Right, now let's move to the next question. So now the student, you must be seeing that almost the very first 6 questions can be solved within 10 minutes, right? Now question number 7, just by looking, it's a question of probability. Now it says that the dice is rolled twice and we need to find the number, the second roll should be higher than the first. So what is that probability, right? We need to find what is the probability that the number in the second roll will be higher than that in the first. Now we know that the number of ways in which the two dice or in which a dice can be rolled twice is given as 6 into 6, or there are 36 ways wherein a dice can be rolled 2 times, right? But here we need to find that what is the number of possibilities where the second dice shows higher number than the previous. So we can make cases, and these are very easy. So suppose in the first roll the number was 1, so in the second roll it has to be either 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6. So I can say that there are 5 combinations with 1, that is 1 2 1 3 1 4 1 5 and 1 6. Similarly, in the first case, if the number roll was 2, then in the second case for the favorable has to be either 3, 4, 5 or 6. Again, there are four possibility. I can keep on doing so. So we can say that on the third case it will be 3, and if the first dice roll as 4, then the second case has to be 5 or 6, or there are two ways. And at last, if it is 5, then the only possibility is that in the second roll it should be 6, and that can be done in only one way. So these are the favorable ways. So if I add 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5, it comes out to be 15. So we can say that 15 is favorable, 36 is total. So 15 by 36 should be the answer, which is option 3, right? Such questions we usually solve in the very first exercise whenever we study probability. So it's not again a very difficult question, I would say, right? Now moving to the question number 8. Now just by looking at this question, these are very simple questions. We can get the answer for sure, even if I take a slightly more time than a minute, right? Now here it says that if f of x is ax plus b, where a and b are positive real number, and if f of x is 9x plus 8, then what is the value of a plus b, right? So just by taking this function, if I want to find what is f of x, now straight away we can say that it will be a times of the entire function. So entire function is ax plus b plus of b. Now on further simplification, we can write it as a square plus ab plus b, and this in fact it will be a square x. This as per the question is 9x plus 8. Now straight away, just by comparing the coefficient of x here is 9 and the coefficient of x here is a square, so we can say that a square will be 9 and the value of a will be 3. I'm not taking negative because both are positive real number, and definitely this much portion has to be 8. So if a is 3, then ab plus b would be equal to 4 of b, and that is equal to 8, which gives me the value of b to be 2. So we have got the value of b to be 2, a to be 3, so 3 plus 2 is 5. So straight away, very simple, very, I would say, very easy questions. It has to be solved, right? Now let's move to the next question. Now the question number 9 is time, speed, distance questions. It contains a lot of lines, in fact lot of words, etc. So in the first round I'm just skipping it. I'll come into the second round too. Similarly, I'm just skipping question number 10 as well, question number 11 as well, question number 12 as well. Now let's take to question number 13. So I've just skipped a couple of questions right now. It's not so that I'll never be solving it, but in the first stage, I just want to scan the paper, and at the same time I want to solve those kind of questions which are either one liner or two liner, as I discussed in the introduction. Now here it says that if x is between 5 degree and 15 degree, then what is the value of sine of 30 degree plus cos of x degree minus sine of x degree. Now this question is neither very easy nor it is very difficult, right? And I'm taking into consideration that those people who have slightly who have studied, I would say, studied trigonometry in a slightly depth, in depth, then definitely they can very well solve this question. They will have no problem into it, right? We all know that sine 30, the value would be 1 by 2, or it is 0.5, right? Now we need to ascertain that what will be the value of cos of x minus sine of x if x ranges in this particular range, that is 5 to 15. Now important thing to note here is that as the value of x increases from 0 to say 90 degree, then the value of cos of x decreases, but the value of sine of x increases, right? We know that the value of cos of 0 is 1, but the value of cos of 90 is 0. But for sine of 0 it is 0 and sine of 90 is 1. So they both the cos of x decreases but sine of x increases, and they converge in the sense they become equal for the value of x, which is 45 degree. So we can say that for x less than 45 degree and between 0, the sine of x value will increase, but the cos of value will start decreasing, and the maximum value of cos will be at 0 and the minimum value of cos will be at 90 degree, right? But if I look at this particular range from 5 to 15, then I can surely say that the value of cos of x will always be greater than the value of sine of x, right? Even if you have knowledge about the graph of cos of x and sine of x, then this is how the cos of x goes, and this is how the value of sine of x goes. So therein you can see that between 0 and 1, definitely the value of cos of x, 0 and 15, the value of cos of x will be greater than sine of x. So I can say that this value would always, or the cos of x will be greater than sine of x. So I can say that cos of x minus sine of x will always be greater than 0, right? So this expression has to be 0.5 plus something which is positive. So I can say that this entire expression has to be greater than point of zero point 0.5. Now let's look at the option. So definitely first two option goes out. Even third option can be negated. Fourth option I'll negate because it says it is between zero point 0.5 and 1 inclusive, right? But we know that the value of this expression will never be 0.5. It has to be greater than 0.5. So here we have to choose the option very cautiously, right? Option 4, 2 have to be negated. The right answer would be option 5. Now let's move to the next question. Now again you can see that this question is very easy question. Question number 14. It says that if n is this, already it is prime factorized and it is a perfect cube. And where p, q, r, s are positive integer, then what is the smallest value? So anybody who has a very I would say basic idea about what is perfect cube and factorization can easily get the answer for it, right? Now here all these numbers 11, 7, 5 and 3 are prime factors. So if a number is perfect cube, that means every prime factor of it should also be a perfect cube. So 11 to the power p plus 7, and we need to find the smallest value. So we have to get the least possible values of p, q, r and s respectively, right? So just to ensure that the first part, this part to be perfect cube, definitely the p plus 7 has to be perfect cube, right? Or wherein we can say that p plus 7, the nearest perfect cube is 9. So the corresponding value of p would be 2. Similarly, in the second case, we can take that q minus 2 to be equal to 0, right? Because 0 is also a perfect cube. So therein we can say that the value of q can be taken as 2. And for the third case, we can take that r plus 1, the nearest, it has to be 3, so that 5 cube becomes perfect cube, right? So here we can say that the value of r has to be 2, and in the last the value of s need to be 0. Oh sorry, we can't take 0 because it's all the values are positive integers. So definitely the closest value or the smallest value of s has to be 3. So we got the value of p to be 2, q to be 2, r to be 2 and s to be 3. So straight away we can say that the total would be 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 3, which comes out to be it would be 9. So option 5 is the right answer. Now let's move to the next question. Again, I'm just skipping question number 15, 16. They are lengthy questions. I need some time. Now I'll just stop to question number 17. It's a two-liner question. Now it says that ABCD is a rectangle. PQR, so the midpoint of BC, CD and DA. The point S lies on the line QR. So we need to draw this, right? So I'm just holding this question for a while, because any question wherein there is a need of drawing the diagram, etc., might take some time. So I'm just skipping the question. I'll come back to this question later on. Now question number 18 and 19 kind of things, these after reading I'll come to know that these are nothing but data sufficiency kind of question, but I'm in a hurry right now, so I'm just skipping this question as well. Now last, if I move, then I'll be having DI kind of things. So there are two sets of DI, and just by scanning, in fact, you'll come to know that the last part DI will be slightly easier than the previous DI, right? So overall, by scanning till now, what I can see that I have solved at least close to 10 questions, right? And in solving those 10 questions, I can easily say that the time taken must be between 20 to 25 minutes. It's not more than that, right? So still we are left with half the time, or the same number of times. In fact, more than that, we can say that close to 30 minutes still is we are left with it. And we can utilize this 30 minutes to solve the, say, the last set of this DI, right? This question 34, 24 and 25, 26 and 27. I can presume that out of 4, even if I manage to solve 3, then it will be 10 plus 3, that is 13. And there will be 2 more questions which we can go and solve the quant questions, right? Because we have left some of the questions just because they were lengthy to read. That is question number 9, 10. These two again are easy questions. Question number 9 is time, speed, distance. Question number 10 is slightly just age related questions. And question number 11 and 12 are also an easier one. So any two or three out of these four questions can still be picked and solved in the given stipulated time of 30 minutes, I would say, right? Even if you feel that the 10 question would take 30 minutes, then again I can say that you are still left with 20 minutes, and in these 20 minutes we can solve one DI set and couple of more questions from quant. So overall the objective of solving close to 15 to 16 question is still is very much manageable. So, and that is what is required, guys, right? You do not need to solve all the question. In fact, there will be very few people who can solve all the question in the test format. In the test we have to ensure that we should solve as many questions as possible, and those question has to be easier one or the kind of question in with which we are quite familiar with it, right? So I'm not going to just solve all other questions also, because I've just, the objective of this video was to just give you the approach to which you should go ahead and solve the quant section of XAT, right? So always remember, close to two-third of the questions you should make the target to solve. So out of 27, the two-third will be close to 18. So anything close to two-third, or I would say 60%, would be sufficient, and that will fetch you 99 plus percentile, I would say. This is what is required in that, right? So I hope this entire in this entire exercise uh, of this video, you have understood that what should be your approach in quant for XAT.